Hey guys, Joe here with another late night session. The first one was long because I kind of you know, spilt my guts about a lot of things. Or maybe I was just being introspective. I didn't really talk about me, so maybe spilling my guts is not the proper phrase that I should use. Maybe I'm just being more introspective and maybe it's more of that. I'm trying to think of what we can talk about because I'm not the biggest planner. I usually shoot from the hip. You guys already know this if you've seen some of my past late night session videos. So I tell you, here's a good one, and I think now I can officially say it. I'm gonna tell you what it was like to work at Amazon. If you want to hear about that, okay, I'm gonna tell you my experience for working for Amazon. Okay. First of all, this is not me dumping on Amazon. Okay. This is just like that Last of Us 2 video that I did, which was the very first late night session. So if you haven't seen that, go check it out. You can see my take on The Last of Us 2 if you would like to hear that. But this is not me dumping on Amazon. Okay? This is not me dumping on the CEO. So all this is what it's not. Okay? This is me saying this is where I come from, and this is what I think about my time at Amazon. First of all, I'll say that I worked there for about a month. And I say about a month because in truth, it was less than a month. And the thing is, it had its good points, like the pay was pretty good for me because I've never made that much hourly before. So the pay was good. One thing that I didn't like is how the whole training situation was handled. I didn't appreciate that. I really didn't. The best way I can describe it is this. For my position, what I did was I was a pit operator. That's what they call it. And I was a pit operator, and what that is like this. It's like, you've seen forklifts. Well, it's got these things. It's like a forklift. It's like a forklift job essentially, or at least the position that I was in was like a forklift. And this thing would rise about 20 feet in the air, 20, 25 feet in the air maybe, and you would get stuff. You would get stuff anywhere from on the ground to 20, 25 feet in the air. problem is with that is I don't like heights. Okay. So, it's not that I have like height phobia or whatever that term is. I don't have height phobia. I just don't like heights. It's not, you know what? And phobia is supposed to be an irrational fear. There's nothing irrational about you potentially falling and dying. I mean, that's not irrational. So, I don't like how like when you go up in the air, you're standing on this thing. First of all, you're standing for when I was there, standing for 10 hours a day, and then when you go up high in the air, it seems like less stable because everything's shaking, and then sometimes you got to get heavy stuff. You can't find the footing. Sometimes you get light stuff. You're lucky to get light stuff that's on like the top shelf, but sometimes you'll get some heavy stuff, and I didn't feel like dealing with the huge gagoosh, from, the thing shaking and rattling, cause, the gear tops out where you're standing on a platform, and then it shakes, and then it's like, sometimes you got to manipulate the thing and move forward. And then you have to go fast because it's a job that's based on performance, right? And on like how fast you go. So you can't, you got to scan the right thing. Then you got to scan you got to find the right thing. You got to go to the right aisle. You got to scan the thing. Then you got to scan like the aisle, and then you got to scan the actual object, but you got to scan the right part of the right object, because they'll have like 3 barcodes and only one of them work, and sometimes you'll be able to tell, sometimes you won't, or at least sometimes I was able to tell, sometimes I wasn't. And then they threw me in there with like 2.5 days of training, right? Because they teach you how to manipulate this forklift, essentially, which acted as a driving test. And the training, oh my goodness, the training, right? The training was bad because, at least in my opinion, it was bad because the people that was training like our group of people, the people that was training our group of people, it was it's a speed thing. That they're just trying to fill positions. They're just trying to get people in there that can actually work the thing, right? So they don't really care. I mean, they say they care about safety, and that's true to a degree, because they do tell you about, pay attention to this, make sure you're doing that, make sure you're doing this. My problem is when you're describing all this stuff, and then you have like a classroom time that describes all the stuff that you informationally need to know, and then they take you out to this this kind of like mock like parking area where inside the building where you're able to manipulate this forklift, and you got to do all these kind of like driver tests. They set out 2 cones, and you got to go in circles, going forward, go in circles, going in reverse, do figure 8s going in forward and figure 8s going in reverse. Problem I had with it is that with our group of people, that people was just knocking over cones, crashing into cones, and crashing into the thing, and somehow they still passed. I don't know why they kicked them out. For a company that says that is focused on safety and how, and even in the training, they say that this machine doesn't operate like a car and is more dangerous than the car. And then you proceed to train people as if it was a car and let people run over cones and run into things and then still pass it. I'm like, yo, something don't seem to be matching up right here, because why'd you let people crash into cones and not fail them And, you should have found them something else to do, or like put them in more of a training thing to get that thing, get the thing up. And it seemed kind of arbitrary because some of the moves wasn't even really necessary to learn, because it's not like your time of driving that the kind of like the forklift was really all that difficult to begin with. But that's a whole nother issue. As far as like, it didn't require all the manipulations that we were practicing for the driver's test. So there was that. There's no place you can sit down. I didn't like that. At least from my time being there. What else can I say? I also didn't appreciate the fact that I kept getting contradictory information. On like when you're in the classroom, they took a group of us and they said, okay, well, we want people to get this amount, and granted, I forgot, so I will admit that, so I thought, like, because I haven't had a job like that before, that was doing that before, so they was like, oh, well, you need to, we want people to pick so many an hour. Like, it was like 45 items an hour. And it can range anything from like toys to like dog food and everything in between. So bits of furniture, like a desk, little odds and ends, packs of Gatorade or food, and dog food, cat food, dog shirts, cat trees, bird houses, rat poison, airsoft guns, toy lightsabers, pretty much everything. I don't know. I hadn't picked a DVD or a video game. I didn't really see those things, but every other thing, musical keyboards, like the digital keyboards that you would find in like Guitar Center for musical production, like a key station, that would be in there. I ain't seen no Xbox or no PlayStation in there, or no video game type of stuff. Well, no, that's not true. I saw accessories for video game consoles, but I never saw no actual video game things. Shower heads, shower curtains, duvet covers, everything, right? So my thing was, so you're getting all this stuff, and what's happening is you're getting all this stuff, and they expect you to pick like 45 of those things an hour, going from aisle to aisle. But the thing is that they have rules on when you go in the aisles. There might be multiple people in the aisle, but you can only stay within a certain distance of them, and you got so much time to get these items. And before the other people that's ahead of you, if they're in the same aisle, have to leave, they get to pick 3 stuff, and that doesn't mean that they'll find them right away, because some of the stuff isn't marked as being particularly special, and sometimes you have to know what the barcode is, and sometimes that was just my issues. Okay, I didn't appreciate that. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I wasn't built for it. I tried. I honestly tried. I tried to get so the first day on the thing, I didn't do good, and then they talked to me, and then And then they said, hey, well, listen, you're the only one that's getting this number. We want you to at least get so and so an hour, right? So I get so and so an hour, and then somebody else calls me over like a few days, maybe a day or two later, to where it's like, okay, well, now we want you to get this many hours. It's like, yo, you just told me this yesterday. Like, yo, like, aren't you gonna give me time to adjust? Like, because the main people who was training us said, listen, we'll give you like 20 days to like get your affairs in order and build up to this speed. But like when you coming out swinging on like day one of doing this, day one, day two, day three of doing this, it's like, yo, like, give me some time and I'll get up to that. But why you telling me this now? So, I didn't like heights. I wasn't that good. I wasn't that fast at it. And then sometimes like mine not reaching a certain goal point within a certain hours weren't always due to my speed. It was external factors. Was people ahead of me? Could they find what they needed in time? Was I having technical issues with like my scanner? Was I able to sometimes they just straight out gave up the wrong information. They gave us these cards saying, okay, well, these are the rules on how the aisles work when you're interacting with somebody else. If they're behind you or you're behind them, this is how many you get to pick before you move, and this is how many they get to pick when I move. And it turns out they gave us that information, and that almost led to a slight confrontation with another person who was behind me. I'm like, yo, this is what they gave me. I went back to the operations person. It's like, okay, I said before I showed them, I said, no. I showed them the thing that they gave me during training. I said, does this look accurate? They was like, yeah. I was like, is this accurate to you? He's like, yeah. I was like, okay, because I encountered somebody who said that it was supposed to be so-and-so before they move. And then it was like, oh, and it was like, because the way I'm reading this is what this says. And he's like, oh yeah, that's the way you read it. And then it was like, well, this is what this says. If I'm reading this right, then I get this many before I have to move. And he's like, oh no, that's not right. So I'm like, well, I showed you the thing. How come you didn't just? But that's just me. So I didn't appreciate that. So then when I tried to rectify this situation, I was like, because I want this at least written somewhere, So I go to the learning section, and I try to pick up. I was like, can I get a new one of these? Because apparently this has the wrong information on it. And then they was like, oh, unfortunately we don't have them. I'm like, well, why? I'm thinking like, well, why are y'all giving them out like candy then to your new hires? It was like, they're going to keep running into this. Then it's like, because you'll have somebody like me who's like, I wouldn't say like literal. I mean, well, yeah, I am literal. I'm highly literal. I wouldn't say 100%, but I am highly that guy, right? I'm like 75, 80% literal. And so what I mean by that is, when you tell me that this is what this is, I'm be like, but you said quote, quote, and I'm gonna throw that back at you, because I don't like when people tell me one thing and then I follow it, and then they get mad at me for doing the exact thing that they told me to do, and they didn't like how I did it because they told me to do it a specific way. And then, because my thing was, I'm not meeting your expectations either way, right? If I do it exactly how you said it, you're not happy with the outcome. If you get happy with the outcome, if I do it to the way you're happy with the outcome, you're not happy with the way that I did it. And you can't have it both ways. And then be on my case about it every which way, you know? Either let me do it the way you do it and let me build up to, and they weren't giving me that, or you let me do it to the outcome that you want to see happen, and you just let me fly by myself. And that's, so I took exception to that. And that's where I can get, that's a whole nother thing. That's probably a whole nother late night session. So there was that. Other than that, I mean, it's not a bad job for a person who might not have a degree and is trying to get some full-time work, and maybe hopefully you don't have a child or children, or not a single parent. It would benefit single people the most who are just out of high school or in college, or are just out of college and is trying to get a full-time job, then it would benefit those people. And or people who don't that aren't necessarily marketable in other industries, like myself. Well, actually I am, but this seemed like the path of least resistance, to be honest. So that was my problems that I had with working with Amazon. There was other problems, but there was another problem, but I can't think of what it is right now. But that's pretty much it. And if that's the story that I have, and I'm sorry this went a little bit long, but I do thank you guys for watching. I am putting out more videos, more late night sessions. I'm sorry this was a little bit longer. I'm still finding my sweet spot, trying to figure out how long I should make it. I usually just go off the head. Sometimes they're a little bit longer, sometimes they're a little bit shorter. I try to make it like 10 minutes less, 15 minutes less. But that didn't happen in these cases. So I will say thank you guys for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, do all those things. Hit that notification bell so you will be up to date on everything that it is that we're talking about in the videos. So, yeah, let's do that. And thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later.